This was not an amazing sales week by any means, but there were a few pieces that sold for really good money, like much more than I thought that they would sell for. So I'm going to share those items and everything else that sold for me in the week of February 13th through the 19th. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms. In fact, this particular week I had sales on 5 different platforms, and I'm going to share where I picked up all these items, how much I sold them for, how long I had to sit on them, how much profit I made, all that good stuff, so that you have a little bit more information as you head into your local thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales, all that good stuff. So if you enjoy what sold videos, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I do these very regularly. But let's go ahead and jump right into what sold. So we're going to start by talking about February 13th, which was a Monday. I only had one sale this day, and it was on Poshmark, but it was this pair of Free People black coated denim skinny moto jeans in a size 26. This is clearly a little bit older of a style. You know, they're skinny jeans. They have that like coating. This just isn't really something that is super popular right now, but they still sold for $30. I picked them up at a Goodwill in a Chicago suburb where my mother-in-law lives, and I paid $6.99 for them. I had actually looked up comps at the time that I picked them up, and comps were like okay, you know, pretty much in that like $25 to $35 range, which is why I picked them up. So I made a net profit of $17.01. I did sit on them for, at least half a year, I'd say. So by no means were they a quick flip, but I still thought that they were worth taking a chance on, and I thought that was a pretty decent profit. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Tuesday, February 14th, which was Valentine's Day, and I had my first really great sale this day. It was on Poshmark again, and it was by the brand Cynthia Ashby. This is definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. The label is kind of hard to read because the font is like this kind of cursive-y, like handwritten almost type of font. But the brand is Cynthia Ashby. It's definitely kind of one of those like log and look type brands where things are a little bit more oversized and meant to fit kind of baggy. And a lot of times they're in very kind of like neutral or like nature inspired colors, which, this pair of pants definitely checked all the boxes. So these were in a brown color. They were high rise with like an elastic waist, so you just kind of pull them on, super comfortable. I did put the word log and look in the title, and they were in a women's size small. These I found at a pop-up consignment sale that happens in my town twice a year. I'd actually seen this brand many times before at the consignment sale, but just never picked it up for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I think I looked up comps before and saw that they were decent, but I just never picked them up before. Part of it is that I'm pretty sure they were priced really high, but this particular pair, I just thought they were really cute. I think also I knew like if they weren't worth selling, I could just wear myself, because I do enjoy wearing these kinds of pants, and especially like if they're super comfortable, like, oh my God, like that's the icing on the cake. But I went ahead and listed them. They sold for $65, which was my full asking price. So I was ecstatic. I had another Cynthia Ashby piece that I had picked up this day. That piece also sold for good money and pretty quickly. So this is definitely a BOLO brand to add to your list. So I made a net profit on those pants of $41.95. You gotta love it. The next thing to sell was over on eBay. This was not an exciting sale. It was a pair of Topshop jeans in the Jamie style. They were white with a high rise. They were skinny jeans in a size 26. I got these in a ThredUp DIY denim box. I actually got this box to unbox on Whatnot. That's like my favorite type of Whatnot show to do for me personally, is to get a ThredUp box and like open it for the people who are in the show with me, and we kind of discover together what's in the box. And if people are like, yeah, I want to bid on that, then I do a $3 start. And for whatever reason, like, I feel like people bid up on things because it's the excitement of like, oh, you just opened that and I kind of want that, or maybe I'll try to resell it, whatever. I've had pieces go for a decent amount doing Whatnot shows that way. I just don't have time for Whatnot right now, so I haven't done very many Whatnot shows. But that's really the only way I'll do it, is if I'm unboxing a ThredUp box, which means I guess I'm not doing Whatnot shows in the year of 2023 because I am not purchasing from ThredUp in the year 2023. I really want to try to just focus on, sourcing my own inventory instead of being sent mystery pieces and whatnot. But this was in that denim DIY rescue box. No one wanted it when I unboxed it on Whatnot. not, and rightfully so. I mean, Topshop denim does not go for very much. So I ended up listing them. They sold for $15, and that was, with it being promoted at 3%. So I made a net profit of $11.42. Thankfully, when I unboxed the box on Whatnot, the profit that I made from that Whatnot show covered the price of the box and then some, even though it was a pretty tragic box. Like, there were not very many pieces in the box that people wanted me to, put into the Whatnot show for them to bid on. It was a rough box, but there were enough pieces that I was able to pay for the box, because the ThredUp denim DIY boxes are not that expensive to begin with. But man, sometimes you can get sent a lot of crap, and there was a lot of crap in this box. A lot of it went to Goodwill. The pieces that I could salvage and list, I did, but it was painful. It was a painful box. So I made a net profit of $11.42 and moved on with my life. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Wednesday, February 15th. I only had one sale on this day as well, and it was this Land's End camel corduroy button-up jacket in a size 22W. This is not the kind of thing that I pick up at thrift stores. I'm not excited about this kind of stuff, but it was something that was sent to me as part of a lot of clothes from a reseller who told me she doesn't like to resell clothes. She, is very new to reselling, and like many of us resellers, just got a little too excited about the sourcing part, and she had sourced all this clothes before realizing I hate selling clothes. She just wanted to do hard goods. So I bought her clothes off of her. There were a lot of pieces that just weren't that great, and I think that's part of the reason why she felt very overwhelmed with the amount of clothes that she had. Was, she learned enough about reselling to know a lot of these were not the greatest buys. This was one of those pieces that, I don't think I would pick this up at the thrift store, but I only had $2 into it. Someone actually bought it for $20, and so I ended up making a net profit of $12.83 on that. On Thursday, which was February 16th, I sold this many things. So, that's not the best feeling. But if you watched my What Sold video from last week, you know that I was just coming off of a week where I had been gone for many days because my family and I had gone on a Disney cruise, and the Disney cruise gave us COVID. So I was just out of commission for a while. And this week, I was just not doing a whole lot when it came to listing and photographing and doing the things that you need to do to be successful as a reseller. But on Friday, February 17th, I actually had a pretty decent sales day. And I credit that to a tool called List Perfectly. List Perfectly is a Chrome extension that allows you to do a lot of different things like managing your inventory, but also cross-listing. That's probably what this tool is known most for, is how quickly you're able to cross-list. And when you pay the monthly fee, there is no limit to how much you can cross-list. I know there are some other cross-listing platforms out there that you pay according to how many things you plan on cross-listing, but there is no limit when it comes to List Perfectly, which is why I love it so much, plus all of the other features that they have and all of the other things that you can do with their program. But I sold on 1, 2, 3, 4 different platforms this day, and that's because I sell on like 6 or 7 different platforms. I don't like to keep all of my eggs in one basket. There are weeks when one platform just doesn't cut it. They're just not doing very well for you. But if you're listing on other platforms as well, hopefully those platforms are still able to provide sales. And this was just a really good sales day as far as selling on a number of platforms. So the first platform that we'll talk about is Poshmark. I sold this Coliseum Athletics, which is just like one of those brands that does collegiate wear. It was a Minnesota Golden Gophers full zip jacket in a size medium. This surprised me because it sold for a decent amount. It sold for $34. I only had $2 into it because it came from the reseller who decided she doesn't like to sell clothes. And it sold because of a Chrome extension called Posher VA. This is a Chrome extension that does things like shares my closet, it sends out offers to likers, and it does those things so that I don't have to do those things. I don't have to waste time sitting behind my computer doing those things when Posher VA, it's automated and it just does those things for me. I am all about saving time because I have very little of it to devote to my reselling business. So Posher VA sent out offers to likers for me, which means that it also sent a shipping discount of $1.72. My net profit on that was $23.48. This is definitely something that I would have never picked up at the thrift store. So, it's like one of those rare things where I'm like, okay, like even though I was not crazy about it, I was not excited about listing it, I actually made decent money off of it. So I was happy that it was part of that lot of clothes from the reseller who doesn't want to resell clothes anymore. The next item was from the same reseller, and it was another surprising sale, another thing that sold for a decent amount. So I don't know what the brand is, but like where the label is on this jacket, it said original cold storage foul weather. I don't know if that's the brand. I don't know what this is, okay? But it was this blue hooded denim jean jacket in a size extra large tall for men. So I don't know. This was an interesting piece. Again, I was not excited about listing it, but I did because it was part of that lot and it was in sellable condition. It sold for $42. Again, that's with discounted shipping because Poshmark VA sent out offers to likers for me 5 minutes after it was liked. I only had $2 into that item and I made a net profit of $29.88. And both of these pieces were not listed for a very long time at all, like maybe a week or two. They sold very quickly. They sold for a very good amount. So sometimes, you know, if you're given stuff to list that you wouldn't have picked out yourself at the thrift store or at like a garage sale, sometimes it's worth it because you learn about different brands or you learn about styles that actually do pretty well. Both of those pieces I would have left behind at the thrift store for sure, but they made me some really good money. So for that, I'm very thankful. The next item is something that I picked up and it sold for less than those two items. But this is an older piece. I picked it up a long time ago. It was this pair of American Eagle super stretch distressed jegging jeans in a women's size 6 extra long. So I don't know, you know, skinny jeans in general are just not as popular. So jeggings definitely are not moving the way that they used to. I'm sitting on them for a very long time and they're selling for far less than they used to. They'd sell for an average of, I'd say, like $20 to $25, but these sold for $16. That was with discounted shipping because, again, that was a Poshmark VA sale. I had $2.52 into those. I got them as part of a birthday sale from a local consignment store, and that's the only reason I picked them up, knowing that, you know, they would probably sit for a decent amount of time and not sell for that much. It was only because they were so cheap to begin with and because they were the extra long length, which I know is harder for people to find if they need it. You know, they only sell so many of those at the store and there's not as many of those listed on reselling platforms. So those are all the reasons why I picked them up. I only made a profit of $10.16 on them. Not surprised. It wasn't really worth it and I'm not picking up American Eagle jeggings anymore. Let me know in the comments below too, like in general, do you have luck with American Eagle denim these days? In general, I just don't. I also feel like I don't find a lot of like more current styles of American Eagle denim at thrift stores, and that's why I'm just like not picking up American Eagle in general, and any American Eagle that I have listed currently is older. You know, it's like jeggings and older styles like that. But let me know in the comments below, do the newer styles do well for you? And that'll help me determine if I come across them in the future, if I should pick them up or not. And the nice thing about American Eagle is if you're wondering as you're looking at a pair of jeans, are these newer or are they older? The nice thing is if you look underneath like the care tag, there's a little tiny tag that will tell you the year that that particular pair of jeans that you have in your hands came out. So if you are looking at that tag and it says like 2014 or something, leave them where they are and run away. You do not need that in your life. But if you look at the little tag and it says 2022, maybe those are worth picking up because they're a newer style. But I also just don't know if newer style American Eagle is selling well. The next platform that I sold stuff on was eBay. So on eBay, my first sale was this Gap Kids yellow and white striped short sleeve dress in a girl's size extra large. This was something that was given to me for free from someone at my church. My daughter doesn't like dresses that are like in like a shift style or like a sheath style where there's no like, you know, cinched in waist or anything like that. So I just went ahead and listed it. I knew I wasn't gonna make a whole lot off of this dress, but it sold for $11.99. It was promoted at 3%. I made a net profit of $6.93. And that was just something that was laying around the house. It was really quick and easy to take those pictures and get it listed. You know, I was okay with the smaller profit. The next eBay sale was definitely better. It was this Lululemon cocoon car coat. It was in the color Bumbleberry, and it was a long sleeve jacket in a size extra small. I actually got this a long time ago on Poshmark from my friend Jess. She's at JS Thrifts and Flips. She was having some sort of sale and I went to her Poshmark closet and got this. I wore it a handful of times, but I just don't reach for it very often. And every time I would wear it, my husband would be like, do you think that you're in the Matrix? Like, he thought it looked like something that Keanu Reeves would wear in the Matrix. And so I just always felt so silly wearing it because of my husband. But also, like, it was just a really interesting piece. Like, I don't know. And that's like what drew me to it in the first place. But it was just hard for me to figure out how to wear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was like the cut of it was a little bit nicer. The cut of it was almost like something you would wear to the office, but the material and colorway were more like athleisure. So it was just an interesting piece, but it sold on eBay for $40 and I made a net profit of $33.63. I don't even remember how much I paid for it initially, but I think I came close to getting. And then the last platform that I had sales on was my own website. I have a website called shopbeckypark.com, and on that website, I only put the things that I'm super excited about, things that I find at thrift stores and garage sales and estate sales that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And these two pieces definitely fit the bill. So if you're wondering, like, okay, you talk about selling a lot of stuff that you don't really like they're not really your style. What things do you like and what things do you get excited about? You can figure that out by looking at my website. Those are the pieces that I'm just like they get me excited about photographing and listing because they're a little bit more up my alley. Not necessarily all things that I would wear, but just things that I think are really cool. So the first sale from my own website was this Rachel Zoe gray soft open front floral cardigan. It was in a size 1X. Rachel Zoe, first of all, I love Rachel Zoe. I loved the Rachel Zoe Project TV show that was on Bravo like years ago. It was one of my favorite shows in all of the world. I watched it religiously. So I personally was really rooting for her when it came to her fashion line. It's like, okay, you know, like her line isn't like the most amazing thing, but I really liked this cardigan. And I also liked the fact that it was a plus size piece. It was so soft. Like it was, you know, just, it felt so luxurious. And I liked the print. I loved the fact that it was longer. I don't know. It just fired on all cylinders for me. And I got it for really cheap. I got it at this pretty sketchy thrift store in Peoria, Illinois. I'm not gonna lie, I was like kind of scared the entire time I was in there. I share about that experience in this video right here, but everything was really cheap. I got it for $3.50. It sold on my website for $27.95. On my website, I offer free shipping, so I did pay for shipping. I had my cost of goods, so I made a net profit on that cardigan of $14.16. And best of all, that went out to a viewer named Dorothy. So Dorothy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you supporting me with your purchase. You are amazing and I hope you love the cardigan. The next sale also went out to a viewer and I knew she was going to get this because I kind of teased this item on my Instagram and I also hauled it on YouTube, and I can't remember if she was on Instagram or YouTube where she said that she was going to be the one to get this, but like literally the second that my February drop went live, this sold, and it sold to Jane. So Jane, thank you so much. She got this jacket by the brand Blair. Now, Blair is not a Bolo brand. It's not a brand that you should pick up every time you see it at the thrift store. I think it's a brand that caters to more mature women. It's not a young, trendy brand by any means, but this jacket was so good. It had portraits of cats all over it, and it was in like this like tapestry material. It was amazing. It like buttoned up. It was in a women's size medium. The second I saw it at this Goodwill in Peoria, I grabbed it. Like it had to come home with me. It was amazing. Now, I wouldn't necessarily wear this, but this is the kind of stuff that I think is the most exquisite treasure in all the land. And that's why I had it on my website. That's why Jane got it for $39.95. I had $8.39 into it from that Goodwill. So I made a profit of $19.74. You will never find a jacket more amazing than this one. And like I said, she bought it within the first 20 seconds of my February drop. And I had so many people email me and message me on Instagram and ask me in the comment section of videos, like, where is the jacket? Like, I went to your website and I can't find it. It sold. It sold within 20 seconds. So if you see things in my hauls or, on Instagram that I say is going on my website, you got to get there right when the drop happens, because there are things that go like that because people, they got their ninja fingers ready and they're ready to go. They have to have the item. So Jane, thank you so much. I appreciate you making this purchase from me, and I hope that you wear this thing every single day. It's just so good. On Saturday, which was February 18th, I also sold things on 4 different platforms. So thank you, Liz Perfectly. On eBay, I sold this Lulu's September Sunsets Burgundy Floral Print Wrap Dress in a women's size medium. It was a maxi dress, and it was beautiful. I'm such a sucker for Lulu's. I think that they make really fun, accessible pieces, but I always get burned by Lulu's in that I will pick it up, it will take forever to sell, and it will never sell for that much. Thankfully, that was not the case with this dress. This dress sold for $34. I actually got it in a box from America's Thrift Supply. They had reached out to me to see if I would do an unboxing of a couple of their boxes on my channel. I gave a very honest review of that box. I'll put it right here. It was not good. I mean, it was free, but there was very little of it that I actually kept to resell. A lot of it I, sold at a pop-up consignment sale that happens in my town twice a year. A lot of it I donated, but it was a pretty atrocious box. I'm not going to lie to you. If I'm going to do an unboxing on my channel, even if they gift it to me, I'm going to be honest. So it was a rough box, but this was definitely one of the very few wins from that box. It sold for $34 and I made a net profit of $27.60 on this dress. And best of all, I didn't have to sit on it for a very long time. It was really cute. So if you find Lulu's pieces while you're out thrifting, even if you're like, oh, this is adorable, this is amazing, look it up. Look up the comps, because a lot of Lulu's pieces just don't do that well. Their maxi dresses tend to do the best, and a lot of times there are Lulu's bridesmaids dresses out there that can do really well because people need a specific dress for a wedding that they're going to be standing in. So if you find that kind of stuff, it can do okay, but their shorter dresses, there's just not a lot of money to be made on those kinds of pieces, I've learned. On Mercari, I sold this Lorna Jane pink tie-dye high-rise pair of yoga leggings in a women's size extra small. Those I got at a local consignment store for $9.99. When I looked up comps for these, they were a little all over the place, but not bad, good enough to warrant, me paying $9.99 for them. They did sell for less than I would have liked. They sold for $24, but I went ahead and accepted that offer because I'd had them for a while and I knew I just needed to accept the offer and move on, even though I wasn't getting as much as I wanted for them. I ended up making a profit of $10.41. You live and you learn. Lorna Jane is an athletic wear brand that a lot of people get kind of excited about, but my limited experience with the brand is that it's all right. It doesn't sell very quickly, it doesn't get a ton of interest, and it doesn't sell for a whole lot. I'm actually wearing a pair of Lorna Jane leggings myself right now that I got, I think, at that same thrift store. I think I paid a similar amount for them, close to $10. And because I kind of noticed that other Lorna Jane pieces that I had listed weren't doing very well, these are my size and I actually really like them. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep them. So they are mine. They don't match the shirt at all. I'll show you what they look like. This is the print. I just wear comfortable bottoms when I film because you're never going to see what I'm wearing down there. But yeah, it does not match the shirt at all. I don't care. It also doesn't match my socks. My whole outfit is kind of crazy. But I'm not even going to apologize. The next thing to sell was over on Kitizen, and it was this pair of Janie and Jack Blue Elephant Tropical Print Swim Trunks in a size 2T. I have had these listed forever. Janie and Jack is a children's brand. It's a little bit more upscale, definitely much more expensive than your Carter's or Oshkosh. I also don't know if this brand still exists. I wonder if it went bankrupt and is no longer in business. I'm gonna look it up really quick because now I'm curious. Let's see.
A few moments later.
Okay, Janie and Jack still exist. I'm on their site right now, and I guess they're having a sale right now. It's very preppy. It's very you're not going to get a lot of comfortable clothes for your kids, but it's a good store to go to if you're looking for clothes for a family photo shoot or something like that. I do feel like I remember reading somewhere though that a lot of Janie and Jack stores, like physical brick and mortar stores, were closing down due to COVID, due to just like, low numbers, that sort of thing. But it's still, look at like, here it is on my phone. It's still a business that you can buy from online at least. And then I had another sale from my website this day. On my website, I have, the clothes from my drops, which by the way, I'm not going to have a March drop because the month of March was just too crazy, but I promise I'll have new stuff on the website in April. But I have like the drop stuff, and then I also have a sales section and a clearance section. So in the sales section is stuff that, were from previous drops, but now it's the next month. So now I'm offering a little bit lower of a price on those items. And then the stuff in the clearance section is stuff from my other reselling platforms that I am just selling on my website with free shipping. Again, remember, at like dirt cheap prices. Like these are items that I'm like, listen, this is cute. This is like in good condition. I don't understand why I still own this piece. Someone come and buy it. Like that's what the clearance section is. It's frustrating because what I use for my website is Shopify, and to me, Shopify is not easy to use. It's not intuitive. So to be honest, I struggle a lot with just the website in general. It's just, there's a lot of moving pieces to it. Shopify does not make it easy. And so case in point, one thing that I cannot figure out is how to show like the original price and then like in red the sale price. I know you can do it. I just don't know how. It's something I bet I could figure out really quickly if I just do a Google search, but I've already sunk so much time and energy into my website that right now I just don't want to do it. But if you go to my website and you visit the clearance section, just know like those are very rock bottom prices, and I'm offering to pay for shipping so you don't have to. I'm just trying to move these pieces out if you want to check it out. But this was an item from the clearance section. It was this new with tags white ruffle sleeve ribbed oversized top in a 1XL. is like a boutique brand that is sold at a lot of boutiques, a lot of smaller stores around the US. They make really cute and trendy stuff. It doesn't resell for a whole lot. This I had listed on my website in the clearance section for $14.95. That was with free shipping. I had $3.92 into that item from the wholesale pallet that I got from a reseller. And so I made a net profit of $6.88 on that. I was just happy to move it. So thank you, Sheila, for making that purchase from me. I appreciate you. And I hope you like it. It was a great basic, white top with some, extra features to keep it from being too basic, but you could wear it with like colorful loud pants or with a pair of classic blue jeans for a timeless look. I mean, it was a really great piece. So Sheila, I hope you're enjoying it. The last day of sales that we'll talk about is February 19th, which was a Sunday. On Poshmark, I sold this Polo Ralph Lauren Pima Soft Touch blue polo shirt in a men's size medium. This sold for $25. I know like back in the day, the Pima Soft Touch polo shirts from Ralph Lauren used to do really well. You could sell them for like $35. I don't think that's really the case anymore. I tend to sit on them for quite some time. I was actually kind of surprised that I even got $25 for this. It just sold for my full asking price. So I made a net profit of $20 because that was something that I think I had gotten for my husband, and he wore it a few times and then was like, this just really isn't my thing. So I listed it and then we made some money on it. The last thing to sell was over on eBay. It was by the brand Rain Spooner, which is a brand that makes a lot of like Hawaiian t-shirts, just like a lot of Hawaiian prints. It's stuff that's made in Hawaii usually, and this was no exception. It was this pineapple palm tree print Hawaiian shirt in a men's size extra large. It was made of Egyptian cotton, and it sold for $20, which was a little bit less than I would have liked to sell it for, but it was kind of faded. It had some wash wear to it, so I let it go for a little bit cheaper. I did have $3.92 into it because it was part of that wholesale pallet, so I made a net profit on that shirt of $12.24. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, it was not the greatest week as far as like how much money I made and how many things sold, but there were a lot of things that sold for higher amounts than I was expecting. So I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of these sales. So let's talk about my numbers. On Poshmark, I sold 6 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $214. When you factor in Poshmark's fees and any discounted shipping that I offered, that total drops to $166.04. My cost of goods for those 6 items was $23.56. And so my net profit for the week on Poshmark was $142.48. I also sold 6 items on eBay, and that was for a gross sales amount of $140.99. Once you factor in eBay's fees and any shipping discrepancies, like maybe I didn't charge someone enough for shipping and I had to pay a little bit for shipping as well, that total drops to $110.57. I only had $5.92 as my cost of goods for those 6 items. A lot of that stuff was maybe stuff that, I already had in my house, or it was stuff that I got for free. And so my net profit on eBay came out to $104.65 for the week. On Mercari, I sold 2 items for a gross sales amount of $74. Once you factor in Mercari's fees, that total drops to $63.45. I had $13.91 as my cost of goods for those 2 items, and so my net profit on Mercari was $49.54. I had 1 Citizen sale for $18. Once you factor in Citizen's fees and the fact that I paid for shipping, that total drops to $11.07. I had no money into that item, so that was my net profit, $11.07. On Shopify, I sold 3 items for a gross sales amount of $82.85. I paid for shipping, and there's very low fees on Shopify, and so that total came down to $56.59. I had $15.81 as my cost of goods for those 3 items. So on Shopify, I made a net profit of $40.78. In total, I sold 18 items. That was for a gross sales amount of $529.84. Once you factor in all of the shipping that I paid and all of the fees, that total drops to $407.72. My cost of goods for those 18 items was $59.20. So I made a net profit of $348.52. Given the fact that I was, very sick with COVID and still recovering from whatever happens to people after they go cruising, like I was dizzy all the time and nauseous all the time. It was so rough. So all things considered, that's a pretty good amount to make, $348.52 when you're doing very little work towards your reselling business. I will take it. Thank you to all of my platforms. Thank you to List Perfectly and Posher VA for making this all possible. It feels good to make money when you are basically living on the toilet. Those were my sales for the week. If you enjoyed this What Sold video, I encourage you to check out this playlist right here because there are like over 100 more videos just like this one where I share all of the things that have sold for me in any given week. And I just think there's a lot to learn from these kinds of videos. I think you can learn a lot about what kinds of things are worth picking up. You can learn about really great brands and styles and trends and all that kind of stuff. And again, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me in the future, you want to see me in your feed every time you open up YouTube, definitely make sure that you subscribe because that's how you can make sure that that happens. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!